Hello, Year 7, and welcome to History in Half Term 4. And in the History Department at Hampstead, we are delighted to announce that we are doing a completely different topic this half term. We were so impressed by your efforts last half term under really challenging circumstances working from home that we have decided to put together a brand new inquiry for you to work through this half term. And that topic in that inquiry is going to focus on the story of a man called Genghis Khan. And our big question for this new topic is, how did a band of nomadic herders conquer the world? How did a group of nomadic herders conquer the world? That is our big question for this half term. For at least the next 2 weeks, remote learning is continuing, maybe for longer. Hopefully, you will be able to come back into school and continue these lessons on Genghis Khan in your classrooms, in person with your teachers. But for at least the first 2 weeks of this half term, remote learning is continuing. So we hope that you enjoy this new inquiry, that you give 100% effort on it in the next couple of weeks, okay? And let's get started. Now, Genghis Khan is from what is today Mongolia. And you can see the map of Mongolia shaded red on this world map here. Mongolia is a very remote and isolated country in the middle of Asia, directly to the north of China and directly to the south of Russia. This is where Mongolia was. Now, Genghis Khan was a Mongol. He came from a tribe called the Mongols. The country of Mongolia did not exist when Genghis Khan was alive, but the country of Mongolia today is the country that Genghis Khan originated from. And you can see it in this map here, shaded red. Britain is in the middle here, so we can see that Mongolia is many thousands of miles away from Britain, on the other side of Asia. Now, I thought to start this inquiry, we could look at a piece of music by a band called The Who. They are a Mongolian band. They use traditional Mongolian instruments, and they sing about Mongolian history and Mongolian culture, using a special type of singing called throat singing. And their album is called The Gereg, and it came out in 2019, 2 years ago. And I thought to start off this inquiry, we could watch one of their music videos. And this music video, the name of this song is The Great Genghis Khan. Enjoy.
Muhtalbıtı Mongollusan eytegisen Mongtengelin ilç Hammağı Mongolin etsin İh Genghis Khan Devdim kırrangıda sallıdım mırrığı son Sanırdı son Muhtemelen ilk Mongolin etsin İh Genghis
Awesome. I hope that gave you an idea, a picture in your head of what Genghis Khan looked like, and has inspired you to enjoy the rest of this inquiry on Genghis Khan. So, first of all, in the next 2 weeks, we are going to do our part 1 of our new inquiry on Genghis Khan. And part 1 centers around this question: what was so remarkable, amazing? What was so remarkable about the achievements of Genghis Khan? Here you can see a photograph of modern day Mongolia. Okay, the grasslands of Mongolia. We can see herders on their horses. We can see a camp of tents in the background. This is what modern Mongolia looks like, and it would have looked very similar 900 years ago when Genghis Khan was alive. There are many traditional nomads on the grasslands of Mongolia today, and they live in tents known as gurs. And this is just the kind of tent that Genghis Khan would have spent pretty much his entire life in. A tent just like this. Here is a photograph of modern Mongol herders. Okay, they would keep horses, sheep, cattle, camels, and they moved their animals around the grasslands of Mongolia. And Genghis Khan was a Mongolian herder. And him and his descendants conquered the world. How did they do that? This is Mount Burkhan Khaldun. Okay? This is the mountain, the slopes of which Genghis Khan was born on. It was a holy mountain for Genghis Khan, and is for many people today in Mongolia still a holy mountain, a place touched by God. Genghis Khan was born in 1162 on the slopes of this mountain, on the banks of the Onon River. The Onon River emerged from Mount Burkhan Khaldun. Okay, so this is where Genghis Khan was born in 1162. To the south of Mongolia, there is a massive desert known as the Gobi Desert, separating Mongolia from what is today China. Thousands and thousands of miles of barren, hostile desert. And to the west of Mongolia, there are huge mountain range known as the Altai Mountains. So it is clear that the landscape of Mongolia, both during the lifetime of Genghis Khan and today, is an incredibly hostile environment, which makes it all the more amazing that his band of nomadic warriors were able to conquer the world. Now, this map is in the booklet that you're going to access soon. If we look here at the dashed line is modern Mongolia. Okay, so this border didn't exist in the 12th and 13th centuries when Genghis Khan was alive. All right, but it exists today. And this dotted line here was the Mongol homeland. This is where Genghis Khan was born in 1162, on the slopes of Mount Burkhan Khaldun on the banks of the Onon River. Later, he would move his tribe down to Avarga and set up base a bit further south on the grasslands away from the mountain, and that would become his base for the rest of his life. But the Mongols were not the only tribe in Mongolia at this time. There were the Merkid, the Nayman, the Kerid, the Tatars. And these tribes north of the Gobi Desert and north of the Altai Mountains were rivals with each other and would often fight. And you will read about that in a moment. And then south of the Altai Mountains and the Gobi Desert, there were other tribes in northern China. The Uyghur, the Tangut, and the Jurkhed, as well as the Tatars. But the Tatars were in what is Mongolia. And these were the rival tribes. And you will see through your reading how Genghis Khan was able to make the Mongol tribe dominant over all others. He was born in 1162. His name when he was born was not Genghis Khan, it was Temujin. He was known as Genghis Khan later on in his life, and he died in 1227 at the age of about 65 years old. As you will see through your reading, the first stage of his conquests were to gain control of the Mongolian grasslands. Okay, from his territories near the Mount Burkhan, he needed to extend his control over the grassland territories of Mongolia, and he managed to do this by 1206. Once he had got control over what is today Mongolia, he started to attack northern China, extending his control southwards beyond the Gobi Desert into northern China. And by the time of his death, in 1227, he had completed stage 3 of his conquest, the conquest of all of Central Asia. When Genghis Khan died in 1227 at the age of 65, the territories under his control can be seen shaded red here. It's an amazing, huge amount of territory controlled by one single tribe from a mountain in the remote steppes of Mongolia. And indeed, many years after his death, his empire became even bigger as his children and his grandchildren built his empire, continued his legacy. And we will see that later on in our course. But in the next few weeks, we are going to focus on the years of 1162 to 1227, the lifetime of Genghis Khan. But beyond that, we will think about what happened after his death in 1227. Here are your tasks for the first lesson. On Teams, all of this will be on Teams for you. You need to download the Part 1 booklet. Now, in this booklet, there's about 9-10 pages of information. Okay? This tells you everything you need to know for Part 1. What happened during the life of Genghis Khan. For this first lesson today, we would like you to read chapters 1 and 2 very carefully. Chapter 1 looks like this, it's on page 2, and chapter 2 looks like this, it's on page 3. Those are the chapters that you need to read in today's lesson. Then you need to download the lesson 1 worksheet, which looks like this. There are 12 questions, all right? You will be able to answer those questions once you have read chapters 1 and 2 in your booklet. And then there are some challenge activities, some sort of extending your learning, creative activities. We want to give you the opportunity to do something different, even get away from your screen to extend your learning about Genghis Khan. So you can choose one of those extension activities as well. They're supposed to be quite fun, quite entertaining, to give you an opportunity to do something different. Okay? And then once you've completed your worksheet, submit it on Teams for your to be checked by your teacher. So that concludes the first video for our new inquiry on the story of Genghis Khan. How did a band of nomadic herders conquer the world? We really hope you enjoy this new inquiry, Year 7. Good luck with Lesson 1 and enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you.